Hello, everyone. My name's Duncan White. I'm the managing editor of the International Fire and Safety Journal, and I'm delighted today to be joined by Chuck Parker from Indji Systems. Chuck, how are you, my friend?
Doing quite well. Thank you very much, Duncan.
Excellent. So, let's tell the listener a little bit more about you, Chuck, your role within the organization, and a little bit more about what Indji Systems are doing.
Yeah, certainly. So, of course, I am Chuck Parker. My role at Indji Systems is Vice President of Sales for the Americas, and that encompasses leading both our utility development teams as well as our renewable energy development teams in the Americas. And if you haven't heard about Indji Systems before, we're a cloud-based software company with some very unique capabilities to help customers, specifically electric utilities, as well as wind and solar farms, understand the threat that could be approaching their assets from natural hazards. And those natural hazards can range from anything like wildfires that we're going to speak about a little bit more today, to also conductor icing, high wind events for the electric utilities, lightning for safety at wind farms, a lot of planning and maintenance capabilities at renewable energy sites, as well as the utilities. So it's a vast array of capabilities that our cloud-based software can do. And it is really designed to minimize the amount of potential data noise that's out there. And as we become increasingly involved in a world where AI is providing more and more valuable data, the challenge to a lot of our customers is making sense of that data and receiving alerts that make sense to them. And with Indji Systems, we have a patented methodology that models the real world objects. And those could be transmission lines for a utility. They could be the exact wind farm layout of all the turbines and the solar panels for a solar facility. And we model the natural hazards that are approaching those areas and allow our customers to select thresholds that are going to drive the alerts for those assets. And that way it helps them take away a lot of the general weather noise that's out there from traditional alerting companies.
Excellent. I can certainly see how that information and that data would be hugely beneficial to fire and rescue services with the way in which the weather systems impact on wildfire situations. With 20 years experience there with Indji Systems, so now looking at the wildfire alerting more. So how do we move beyond detection to really looking at the operationally actionable decisions?
Well, excellent. It's a good question. The very first thing that we should do is go back to what makes Indji Watch unique. As you mentioned, we're celebrating our 20th anniversary, and we started in 2005 in Perth, Western Australia, specifically to help the utilities in Australia respond to what they call bushfires out there. And so over this 20-year period, we've been monitoring, looking at wildfire and agency data, satellite information data, and we are able to really help define in that data what is the highest probability for impacting our customers. So we should go back to what makes Indji Watch unique, that we model the real world locations of the customer's assets. So whether it's a transmission line or wind farm, our customers are only alerted when either a high probability satellite hotspot or an agency reported fire are detected within the distance thresholds that our customers set for their assets. So they have immediate access to the locations of the wildfires, the latest fire response details from the the fire agencies that are trying to mitigate the fire. They have details about how active the fire is, visibility to the growth, and even the smoke direction. So in the case of an electric utility, operationally, what they do is when they receive a wildfire alert, they have two primary actions. They respond and make sure it's investigated by appropriate fire agencies. And sometimes this will even mean deploying their own personnel to a location just to make sure that there's no equipment damage or any other mitigating factors that they can do while the agencies are focused on the fires themselves. And then second, they take steps to determine if the line needs to be de-energized in a manner that maintains the overall grid stability. For a generation plant, it's a little different. A wind farm, a solar facility, really any generation plant, it's focused foremost on personnel safety in the area. And they would be looking at, is there a threat to the site? Are the exit routes still available? And then they would also do planning for potential disruption in the forecasted generation from that site.
Excellent. It's one thing that really interests me, and we you mentioned it very briefly. There was the background noise, and I'm really keen to understand how the Indji platform distinguishes between the wildfire risk specifically, whilst distinguishing between the background noise.
That's an important part of our system. Again, over these 20 years, we've been modeling the data both from natural hazards as well as customer assets. And one of the areas where we're taking out the background noise is just through our overall experience. We have seen in the data sets that are available what kind of information could be noise, say just a report about a campfire that was left unattended. Simple things like that, where we recognize the important information when we're looking at satellite infrared data. We have modeling in place to look at what is a higher probability that there's a satellite detected hotspot versus perhaps just some noise from a generation plant or something else that could be producing heat on the ground. So we recognize the differences in this data, and that helps us determine what could be noise for our customers. And if it's noisy for our customers, it has a sense that it could create false alarms for our customers as well. So we make sure the data being used to trigger notifications is as accurate as possible. Many of the other services out there reporting on possible fires really just scrape all the available data from government websites and they place it on an internal map. And it can really lead to false data. Old data can be on there, old wildfire information. And of course, you can also have data that is nowhere near our customers' assets, so it may not have any impact to them at all. So we have also learned how to interpret the satellite infrared data and provide alerts on the higher confidence information. And that also helps clean up and really distinguish a real wildfire risk for our utility customers.
So that 20 years of experience and using what I call clean data, where you've used that experience to distinguish between the information that's available that is applicable to your client, rather than just bringing it all together, will bring that sense of confidence to the client, knowing that they are not going to be inundated with alerts potentially that could be false. So that's got to be a huge plus to them.
Exactly. And the feedback from our customers over the years has helped us improve the system even more. It provides a high level of confidence knowing that we're focused on the energy industry And so, yes, it's an excellent resource for our utility customers and even those wind and solar farms out there.
Fantastic, and that's certainly testament to the work that Indji Systems are doing. Um, so, in relation to the wildfire monitoring, how does that integrate with other hazard and operational workflows that we're seeing?
Well, this is really two distinct questions because the utilities care about all fires that could impact their assets. And we've been supporting utilities in the US and Canada since 2009. And they, especially over the last 5, 10 years, have become especially concerned about making sure their equipment doesn't cause a wildfire. We've all seen it in the news reports, significant impact to life and property, insurance impacts, just the investment impact for the utilities and helping to mitigate wildfires. So, what they're looking for is the ability to continue to invest in areas of their grid that is going to have the most meaningful impact to them. So, what we do is we provide forecasting for them as well. We provide forecasts for site specific areas that they care about the most. So, again, forecast locations they pick that are related to their critical assets. And this allows them to understand over time what are the areas that have had the most impact from high winds and wildfires. And even with many of the structural protections that the utilities are investing in right now, there's two very common weather hazards that exacerbate the chance of a wildfire. First one, lightning, is especially in drought prone areas at times a common cause for wildfires, especially when there's very little precipitation in the area. So the impact on vegetation in the area could cause a wildfire, or the interaction of lightning causing sparks or damage on a utility structure, perhaps leading to a fire in that respect. So lightning is still the number one cause of wildfires outside of what are known as man-made causes. However, this is because things like extreme winds that can cause down power lines or cause vegetation contact with the conductors, so tree limbs, complete fallen trees based off of these high wind events, these tend to be classified as man-made because they are technically being caused by the utility. But in a sense, this is because of the extreme wind events.
It's interesting to listen to the differentiation between the natural hazard with the lightning and that of the apparatus, even though the wind has been a causation factor within that. We know the importance of post event analysis and the requirement to provide information to regulatory authorities. So, how does the Indji system support the post event analysis, the need for regulatory review, and also defensibility?
Well, it's a good and important part, especially in the environment that we spoke about. There's a lot of regulatory scrutiny going on. The defensibility for our customers is really important to them. One of the most commonly used tools that we have for post-event analysis is our lightning history tools. So again, these are focused on lightning strikes that are potentially impacting our customers' assets. So a customer can very quickly confirm the presence of lightning after a fault on the system. And there's a regulatory review part of this. They have to determine what has potentially been the fault on the electrical grid. And there's a system performance side of that so that they can focus on upgrading those assets to help them handle lightning strikes or high wind events or even icing on conductors in the future. So, but when it comes to the historical lightning, this will really help distinguish the source of the ignition when a wildfire is reported. They can very quickly rule out lightning if the lightning fault analyst tool that we have available does not show them lightning in that area, especially close to their assets. So then they can look at and focus on other causes and events. And it's a great post-reporting tool for them as well. Our proven scientific methods for determining the electric grid's fire operating conditions also allow the customers to have the confidence that their decisions for operational stability and community safety are sound and defensible. And, that's certainly something that we can speak about more in this podcast if you like.
Yes, very much so. I would certainly be keen to learn a little bit more about how you're able to support that, because in the world we currently live in, there is always somebody out there looking to challenge decisions, and having the evidence to refute that is hugely beneficial. So yes, would love to learn a little bit more about that, Chuck.
Okay, well, one of the things that we do is we recognize that the utility customers know their service territory best. So their service territory topography and vegetation, they understand the risk profile in their area. So what Indji Systems has launched this past year is the capability to produce daily wildfire condition forecast for our utility customers. And these are focused forecasts that are in the areas of their assets where they have the most concern. And we can match that to their risk profile, meaning we can match it to how they feel about the potential of causing wildfires in their area. And if they do have some areas of significant risk, then we can help them really focus on the forecasts in those areas. And what happens with this daily wildfire condition forecast that we deliver, they can see it visually in the system, they can receive it via email. And what it does is it tells their system operator teams which circuits need to have their recloser settings adjusted. And it communicates also the forecasted wildfire weather conditions to their field operations team. So just for clarity, I mentioned the recloser settings. The utilities in a normal state want to keep the grid energized. And so if they have a temporary fault on the system, there's no concern about mechanical damage or anything like that. They'll allow the system to re-energize itself and clear the fault. But in a wildfire prone area, or in an area where there could be high wildfire conditions, either elevated is a term or extreme, they may choose to turn those automatic features off at the recloser settings. And therefore, it can help them mitigate the utility equipment from causing a wildfire. So that's really one of the areas that our forecast is focused on for the system operators. We'll work really closely with them to identify their risk profile and help them determine what is an elevated risk in their area, what's an extreme risk in their area. The other part of this is important for field operations. The field operations teams would take that information and they will decide to limit the use of certain tools or vehicles in areas where there's a high or elevated wildfire condition. Plus, the company itself may choose to simply redirect its planned maintenance in areas of less fire risk during those days. So there's a couple ways that they can go about it so that their field operations activities don't accidentally spark a fire. Some utilities will even go a step further, and they'll use this information and some other data available to them to start communicating to their communities the increased chance of what has become known, especially in North America, as public safety power shutoff. And so this PSPS activity is where they could really narrowly shut off some systems in advance if they really see an extreme risk that they could have down power lines or that there could be some other factors that could cause the utility to generate a wildfire.
Very, very complex system there, but one that really delivers what is required to allow the utility companies to do the best for their customers, but also to mitigate the risks to the environment and the subsequent need to deploy fire and emergency services. So yes, I can see that the service that Indji Systems there supplies to those consumers is hugely beneficial. Having looked at what Indji Systems have been doing and the way that you've been striving through the last 20 years, I'm interested to know more about Indji Watch and also the role in wildfire condition forecasting.
It's an important question that you just asked, because Indji Watch is really a prime communication tool for our customers. The Indji Watch platform brings in all of this relevant data for our customers, and it can be data from smoke detection cameras in the area. It can be custom forecasts that the company itself is providing. It would be instrumentation that they may have deployed. A lot of the utilities are deploying their own real-time weather information, so weather stations that can give them observations in areas that are prone to wildfires, or just simply areas where they've had issues with high wind events, and typical forecasts don't model those areas well. So again, it goes back to they know their service territory best. And what we do is we can bring in not only the public weather information and the lightning data for them, the best wildfire and satellite hotspot information, but we can also bring in their data, and we can help model their data against their grid assets. Plus, they get better visibility without having to go to 3, 4, 5 different computer systems. They can bring in the visibility of the images from the smoke detection cameras. They can bring in the observations from all the hundreds of weather stations that they may have bought and deployed on their grid. So we provide for them this common visualization platform that does the most intelligent alerting, designed to alert against their assets based off of the thresholds that they create, and communicate to them across business units what is going to potentially be that impact. And when they have alerts, they're going to know across business units that those alerts are occurring. So they could be system operations, field operations, emergency management control centers. We provide our customers with an enterprise-wide license. So there's no restriction on the visibility and the situational awareness. And so that makes Indji Watch the ultimate communication tool for all of this data that we talked about that is coming into the utilities for decision making. So with that, providing this wildfire condition forecasting that we launched this year, that just brings it to another level. We've always given them forecast alerts for extreme winds and extreme temperature, other events, red flag warnings from the weather services. But now they have that operating conditions forecast, which is really specific to their service territory and based off of their risk profile. So they don't have to try to interpret just from the forecasts that people are traditionally used to seeing, but now they have specific wildfire condition forecasting in their high risk areas and in areas that are most important to maintaining the safety of their communities as well as their grid stability.
It's a credit to Indji Systems for the level of detail provided to your customers, and also that means the information that can then be supplied to communities in relation to that risk. And I can see that we're going to hear a lot more about Indji Systems going forward over the next 20 years, based on the superb foundations that you guys are building off of. Chuck, it's been an absolute pleasure for me to chat with you today, and as always, anybody that wishes to know more about the work of Indji Systems, then go to the website, which is www.indjiwatch.com, where further information is available, and also the ability to contact Chuck and his colleagues via the website. I'm Duncan White. I'm the managing editor of the International Fire and Safety Journal, and I've had the pleasure today of talking to Chuck Parker, Indji Systems Vice President of Sales Americas. Thank you very much, Chuck.
Yes, thank you, Duncan. Greatly appreciate your time today.